Welcome back to SK Hobbies AZ, and I am Stitch. So today we are moving on to part 2 of this series, and we are going to be talking about my thoughts on the build so far for the Element Enduro Builder's Kit 2. So why don't you guys stay tuned, and we'll get you filled in on where we're at so far. So I got the roller pretty much built, and this is the kit. The only thing I added was, of course, I did the wheels and the rims. So I got those put on, which we'll talk about those here in a minute. I also got the hardened parts installed, and I did that, and sounds like my phone's going off. I didn't put it on silent. So why don't we get over to the workbench over here, and we'll kind of talk about what my thoughts were on this putting this kit together. All right, so I got a bag of extra parts. Primarily, a lot of those extra parts are the hardened parts I replaced, and then there's some other extra ones, like you've got the smaller battery box, which I put the bigger one in because we're going to strictly be staying with trail running on this. So I'm going to be using a bigger battery, which I can show you that. So I picked up the Ovonix 4500. It's a 50C, and you know, it fits in there. So it's kind of like right in between in weight wise. It's a little bit heavier than the standard 3S batteries. But this one, it actually weighs in a little bit less than my 50, I believe they're 5100s that I have. But I went with the Ovonix because they were on sale, and we're going to try them out. Never used these batteries before, but we're going to give it a shot. Now, they did come with Dean's connectors on it. I swapped it out for my XT60 connectors. So we got that going for us. And I ended up picking up 2 for me and 2 for my wife's Axial that we're going to be building later on. One of the things is that this kit comes with, we'll call it white plastic. Maybe it's Delrum. I'm not quite sure what material this is, but it comes with the ball ends that go inside, like your shocks and all of your linkage. All takes and utilizes these. And I got the steel ones that I did in the unboxing that I showed you guys. So that's a good upgrade. Direction wise, directions are awesome. So inside of here, in this cover, so they've got all of the hardware and the links that you use in this kit. And with that being said, it's a 1-to-1 picture. So it made it kind of easy of, you know, because you get a bag full of bolts inside of each bag and everything that's for putting together those parts. And you can just take and line them up on here and like, yep, that's the right bolt. You don't have to pull out your calipers and measure the link and say, yep, that's a 3mm by 20. You know, you don't have to do that because you got the little sizing chart here. Worked pretty good. The only thing I didn't see in this whole instruction manual was kind of like a layout, like this is all the parts that should be in the bag. Because there are some things that it called out in here, and I'm gonna kind of show you the so when you're building the shocks, right, it calls out this little washer that goes in between the 2 O-rings that are on the bottom of the shock right there, those 2 O-rings. I had to thumb through and find out that it was actually on one of these little white trees. It was actually white, but they give you a little spacer kit, which I was going through that and I was like, none of that's going to work. But that little spacer kit is actually for when you put servos on, actually your servos go over here. When you get those on, there's a little spacer you put underneath the servo and the servo horn that kind of gives you the, drops this down a little bit because there's not a lot of play in there. So that's really going to go right up underneath the servo. And you guys will see how that mates up once I put the electronics in this bad boy. You know, but other than that, it didn't have like a complete parts breakdown. Like normally you go through, even the RTRs say that it, you know, the 2A arms and, you know, stuff like that. And I'm used to like the ARMA stuff, but all in all, it was a really simple build. It's very straightforward. You know, I give it an A+ to Element and Team Associated for putting together this manual. It's awesome. I'll kind of do a comparison at the end once I build the Axial one and see, you know, what my thoughts are compared on it. But all in all, this was actually my first build from complete scratch when I was a kid, and I had when I had the Tamiya, however you want to say it, Grasshopper. When I was a kid, you know, I didn't really have to put it together. My dad did it for me, and you know, kind of surprised me with the whole "here's your RC car," right? But yeah, so I didn't. My first experience putting one together. Now I've taken RCs apart. All of the ones in here have all been stripped down to bare nothing, cleaned and put back together. Especially when I buy a used one, it all gets completely stripped down before I even use it. But I do have to say, the shocks on these are amazing. There's good tension on it, and it's, you know, there's enough to just push it right back into place. Transmission was kind of weird to put together. The Stealth X transmission. You know, you've got to kind of figure out what you want to. You can set it up like the RTRs. They give you a little diagram in the back that they call out here. That calls out all the different gear patterns, whether you want the gearbox facing forward or you want the gearbox facing in the reverse. Now, if you do go and want to get it facing front facing, it does require an additional part that doesn't come in the kit that you've got and it's a top shaft, because the shafting, when you flip it, it gets a little bit longer. So you've got to have that other part in order to do it. You know, right now we've got it as it comes stock with the facing the rear. Now I did go with the overdrive option 2, which is this guy right here. It comes stock looking like this. And I only did that because most of the people that I've seen build this kit and go run it, they end up going to that overdrive option 2. So we're just going to give it a shot and see how it goes. It made me not like putting links together. These links are a pain in the butt to put together. You got to like kind of press it on and then get it started. Then you got to, you know, then I use my shock tool to kind of hold the rod together, and then I get it twisted on. But it was a pain in the butt. I think it took me longer to put all of these rod ends together than it did building the transmission and everything else. So it was a pain in the butt, but I did enjoy it. It's fun. It's awesome. You know, when you get it to put together, it's all brand new. Everything runs nice and smooth like that. So I'm going to be excited to get this electronics put in it. The tires, you know, I guess I should do what Derek does and do a tire sniff. Yeah, they stink. You know, it's good American plastic right there. The rims, you know, these are the, and I'm going to put down in the description the parts that I used, the aftermarket parts, and links to them. You guys are more than welcome to use those links or just go do a search. You know, it doesn't really matter to me. I don't get paid for it either way. But if you guys want to know what I put into this, the links will be in the description showing the parts that I used. But these rims, they're the Enduro RC rims, and they're just an Amazon special. The set of 4 was $38, and I'm actually happy with them. They go together really easy. It's a lot of screws. So you've got this outer ring that you got to put on and you know, to kind of bead lock everything in. Now I did notice after that that in the inside here, if you can see on the rings, there's these bigger 2.5 millimeter hex screws. So if you pull that off, the rim actually separates in the middle. So it makes it a lot easier than having to remove the 1 million screws around the ring right there, that you can just remove I think there's 8 in there, that you pull those 8 screws out, they separate in half, you can swap out your tires and put it back together, and it kind of does the same thing. So you don't have to remove all of those other screws. So that's going to be a plus in the future. Because I don't know, I'm going to try out these G8s, and we'll see how they perform, and then maybe we're going to get some of the Predator compound and just kind of do a comparison for here in Arizona on utilizing the Predator compound versus the G8 compound. The hardened parts, they are different, and only really different in the shock towers. So with the shock tower, these are the shock towers that it comes with. And actually, my kit came with 2 of the same thing. So I don't know what the difference is. They have the same part number on them, so I'm assuming they just accidentally put a second set in here. But if you look at the shape of these ones are a little bit shorter. These ones are taller. Now, with these guys comes with a little plate, which is over here in all my leftover hardware. But these come with a little plate that basically fits right, presses right in there. And then you bolt your shock on and you have different adjustments. I couldn't figure out if I could use this plate and, how it was supposed to work with these. But I put the hardened ones on. We're going to go with those for now. And then we'll see. Because I know eventually I'm going to want to drop this down some. So I'm going to have to do something. I might have to make an attachment that's going to come up, a little standoff that's going to come up to bring the shock up more, so this back end will drop down, and that'll help lower the center of gravity. But like I said, we're going to do the budget build, and we're just going to do it as is, and just replace those hardened parts that we did, and it worked fine. Now, with also utilizing these newer style hardened shock towers, the panhard bar, which mounts right here, this guy, it's on the end of the shock. Now the shock tower, it kind of sticks down below, and that's where your panhard mounts to. On the kit and the instructions, and they don't really tell you that, you kind of have to figure it out for yourself, because when you buy those extra hardened parts, they don't come with it. You just gotta kind of wing it. But it comes, you have this piece here that's actually supposed to mount on there. And then this right here is, you can adjust up and down the height of the panhard mount. So you can put it, it mounts down there, and you mount that panhard bar to it. With this guy, there was no adjustment. So I don't know if I'm going to like that, or if I'm going to end up just cutting that panhard part off and going back to this one that I can adjust the height of it. But we'll see. All in all, I'm very happy with it. And, instructions were easy and simple. It comes with all kind, it comes with a little bit of extra hardware. So you got some extra hardware. And other than that, that's all we're talking about. Stay tuned for my next video. We're going to be kind of unboxing the electronics, talking about that. And then we're going to get them installed. I'm Stitch, SK Hobbies AZ. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and bash that bell. But I'm out.